everyone? What's up, everyone? I got the man himself. Finally, he sure knows how to make it an entrance, right? Keeping us all in suspense here. Dr. Robert Pig.
That's
Bob,
me.
what's up?
Nothing. Just very excited to be here. Only in the 21st century could we have a glitch. We're on late, and but very excited to be here. I want you to know, as I told, and this is the first time I did an interview with her, like a couple of years ago now. Very impressed with what you guys are doing. And it's nice to know that, it's very weird to be kind of like, the senior generation with gray hair. And because I still think I'm 30, but it's nice to know that the generation behind me is doing great things, and it's important to me, and just love what you guys are doing. It's very important.
Well, I appreciate that, Bob. And you know what? I've been following you for quite some time. And actually, I saw you. We did a Facebook, I think it was in Nathan's group, and he asked us to do a Facebook Live about something. I can't remember. All I know is that your video really stood out. And ever since then, I've been a big fan. And I've been, oh, there you go, the purple cow. For those who don't know who Dr. Robert Pick is, okay, you don't know why he pulled up that cow. We're going to explain that in a little bit. Right? I learned so much from this gentleman. And guys, first of all, I am so sorry that we're late. And the reason being is because sometimes technology doesn't work. You notice I'm on a different platform today, which is Zoom. And it's kind of hard to see your questions. So I'm going to go back and forth. Okay. I want to try to get your questions answered. But the thing is that it was so important to get Bob on here tonight. So I was like, we're going to do something. So guys, thank you for sticking around. If you have any questions, type it in the comments section. I know there's normally a crawler that comes across, and that gives you guys the heads up to put the questions down there, but feel free to type any questions on. I'm looking right now just to make sure that we're not missing any questions. So Bob, let's start with this. Let's start off with a really good pearl. Okay, because everyone's been waiting. They're like, I'm ready. And I want to talk to you about the one thing I love that you do, that I've kind of like took it on in my own practice, right? After listening to you. And that is the business retreat. Let's go straight to that. First of all, let's talk about what made you start doing it and why it's so important.
Boy, it's a great question. And without spending 2 hours, I'm going to give you a very shocking answer. You never know where life takes you. And really quick, in August of 1997, had some little bit of GI upset over the weekend, and said to my girlfriend, something's not right. And she goes, all you guys do is complain. And sure enough, 5 a.m. Monday morning, I'm in the shower, and I'm like, whoa, I fell to the floor, and I knew what happened. My appendix burst. And
oh my gosh.
Only a type A driver. I said, I don't have time for this today. It's a busy day. And without, spending 20 minutes on the story, drove myself to Northwestern, where I'm on staff, paged one of my friends. They took my appendix out, woke up in the recovery room. And when people know you, I think they say things they would never say. A nurse finally came over because there was 6 of the general surgeons. And she goes, would you boys stop using bad words? There's people up here. And Kev Bethke, who took it out, says, I went through your belly button, dude, and I could not find your appendix. I've never seen that before. So I had to open you up the old-fashioned way. I still couldn't find your appendix. So I called Wilson Hartson and Jerry Ujiki. And then Jerry goes, your days of modeling are over, and that led to a whole other set of bad words. Finally, he says, I pulled way down on the flap, and your appendix had blown off the cecum, and it was burned into the inside your inguinal canal inside your thigh. And I'm thinking, whatever. He goes, I put a Penrose drain in. He goes, I already talked to your office manager, Rhonda. You are not going back to work till Monday. I'm like, whatever, goodbye. So that was fine. It was a joke at that point. Wednesday morning, don't go back till Monday. Goodbye. I'll see you guys later. 5:05, August 24th is a day I'll never forget, 97. I see the surgeon, Kevin, walking down the hallway with the 2 pathology chairmen. When I did my 3 years of perio, I did oral path at the same time. Didn't sleep at that point. And I'm like, why the pathologist with him? And they walk in my room and sit on my bed. I've never seen serious faces like that. And they went like that. And I went, Nobody spoke. Ed Kaminsky, the PATH chairman, is rubbing my head. And finally I go, and Ed became a second dad to me, mentor. You got to have your glasses on the bottom of your nose to imitate him. He was in the Polish resistance, lost these 2 fingers. I gave the eulogy at his funeral a few years ago. He goes, Bob, we are screwed, in his Polish accent. I'm like, we're screwed. I had a very aggressive, radical cancer of my appendix. And I went from, it was a joke, to, excuse the French, everybody, scared shitless.
Yeah.
And they go, tomorrow we're going to take out a little bit of your intestine. We very worried you may not live. These cells are everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, wait,
So,
they didn't sugarcoat it at all.
No. And they know I wouldn't have wanted it sugar coated. And water, everybody. And so I paged Al Benson, a colleague of mine. We both had jet black hair at the time and funny mustaches. And I said, Al, you're the GI expert here in oncology. I'm not ready to go. I got too much to do. I don't care what you do, do it. I signed off on 42 side effects. Long story short, I went through 14 months of chemo, never been done before in a human. In the middle, 3 months of radiation with 3 radiation beads, never been done on a human with a chemo bag. Never lost a hair on my head. I lost it everywhere else on my body, never came back. I did so well out of the gate. We never thought anything would get me. I never missed a day of work. And I'm pretty skinny. And I lost about 30 pounds on this body frame, but I don't think anybody knew. Long story short, I'm going to go forward and come back. But 5 years ago, I fell down across the street, which was really strange. Happened 2 days in a row. From the radiation damage at L5S1, I now have to walk with a limp, pain in the butt. And from the chemo, one of the side effects was cilia. It got my hearing. And
Wow.
I went completely deaf 2 weeks before a lecture at Chicago Midwinter with a 300-person ballroom sold out. My buddies put this in, activated it, and boom. So long story short, back in 97, when I was diagnosed with the cancer, I said life is short. I had a practice partnership that was not working. Great person, I would sit in his chair, but we looked at team very different. Team are extremely important to me. You got to have a great team. That's a big discussion. But I said, all right, that's it. And I wrote out a check. He took the first number. I was going to give him 3 different numbers. I said, I don't care if you're across the hall, down the block. You're no competition for me. So I bought him out. Long story short, and this will answer your question, I was the guy that was out there getting the referrals. I had visibility. As most people know, I was at a wonderful place in 1983 and a half. I literally pioneered lasers in dentistry. Started with me. I wrote the first book on the subject. It's in a bunch of languages. I left lasers 23 years ago for ethics. Still use them every week, every day. And I found out we were running, are you sitting down, Glenn?
Yeah.
We were running 84.5% overhead. And my jaw dropped. I wasn't obviously paying attention. I signed a secrecy agreement with one of my mentors, which is a key. The greatest thing about pioneering lasers and being out there lecturing early was all of these leaders in dentistry took me under their wing.
Yeah.
Except for Pete Dawson, who just recently died.
Mm-hmm.
They're all still here. Goldstein, Garber, Christensen, Tarnow, just wonderful, wonderful mentors to me. I signed a secrecy agreement. I still can't talk about whose consultant I hired. And she came in, and within a year, I immersed myself in her systems. We reduced our overhead to 52%. Nice. And I said, I'm going to take her systems and make them better. When I was out there lecturing on lasers, there were times I would be at Fortune 500 companies at their retreats. I will never forget meeting Jack Welch at GE.
Wow.
He's rolling in his grave that it's no longer an S&P 500 company. Under his tenure, people, Steve Jobs, imitate those that are successful, put your own spin on it and crank it. Under Welch's tenure at GE, 7,000% increase. 7,000. Thought the number was wrong. Huge increase. So I would be at these meetings and they wanted to know about lasers. I would start taking their agendas. And I came back after 1 year of having a consultant and I said, we, ladies and gentlemen, to my team, are going to be a Fortune 500. And then I said, no, 100, not dental practice, everybody. This was on one of my slides last night, speaking for a branch meeting here in Chicago, dental business. And so we developed what was initially the PIC Business Retreat. About 5 years into it, it became a 2-day biannual retreat. And again, team, so important to me. I changed it to the PIC team, the PIC Business Team Building Retreat, still PBR. I know it hit home. Last year, I published an article in October of Dentistry Today, 2018. As of yesterday, the article has 14,044 views. That's a lot of people reading that article. It had 11,000 almost overnight. I'm number 2 now for most read article ever in that journal, catching 2 people that are at 18,000 tied. So it told me it hit home. So that's a little bit of a long answer, but from a tragedy came something unbelievable. It's how we grow by leaps and bounds every year. And I debated doing this. On Thursdays, we're done at 4. My team's been out of here. I'm in my office. I debated to go to the other office where I got the PIC group backdrop. But I ended up in consulting as well. And every office that we help, we begin with a premier PBR, because you have to, there we go. You have to develop all kinds of things that Fortune 500 companies do automatically, a mission, a vision, a culture, a brand. So I'm going to stop because that's a long answer.
Well, you know, it's a great answer. And Dr. Pick, I want to say that we have a comment here, and that's actually from Paul Goodman. And Paul says, you are such an inspiration. Dentistry and Earth is lucky to have you a part of it. And I totally agree. That's the first time I've ever heard that story from you. And I've seen a lot of your videos. I've read a lot of your posts, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And that's the one thing I will tell you this, Dr. Pick, is that this past year, my kind of like my goal was to go back to basics, right? That's like the theme of this year, right? Last year I was kind of going through things, trying to build things up, right? Trying to get my name, all these things. And what ended up happening is that my eye was on that big goal, right? I kind of lost focus of the things why I was trying to get that goal, right? Is to like family and myself, right? And just listening to your story right there, it really reaffirmed what I've been trying to do all year is really, if you think about it, life is short. It is short. And that is just such an amazing story. And the fact that, gosh, I would have never known. I thought that you were just really good with your diet. That's why you have that lean physique there. But that is amazing. And you know what? Before we go any further, I want to ask you this. You went through something just so tremendous, right? I mean, you had a huge obstacle there. And let me ask you this: what kept you going? Like, what kept you focused? What kept, because you've been through a lot. You deserve to be sitting on a beach drinking pina coladas. Okay, you deserve it. Like no one, like after what you went through, there you go. Well, that's good too. After what you went through, no one would fault you for that. What helped you get through that, number one, and what keeps you going today?
It's a great question, and no one's ever really asked me that. That's a great question. The answer is very simple. First off, I love what I do. And I knew I wanted to be a dentist sophomore year in high school, even though my grades were terrible. I'm very ADD, can't sit still. I'm probably doing this. So I know
that's why you and I get along.
And but smoked it in college big time, and knew I wanted to go into perio sophomore year of dental school. I love what I do. I'm the first one at work every morning. I can't wait to be here. I could be home. I'm still in the office doing stuff. I love my job. And as time goes on, as I've transitioned into management, I love it so much. I get such a thrill out of doing what we're doing right here. I get the other night I spoke at an after dinner at one of our Chicago branches, 100 people. I love it. That's my home, is speaking. I love entertaining, but at the same time, teaching, motivating with things based on ethics and excellence. I never want anybody to make the mistakes I made. I want them to all get there faster. I love what I do. And when it all happened, there was so much going on. I'm on the lecture circuit. I'm in practice. I've always taught a day a week. I love it so much. I couldn't imagine stopping at all. I couldn't imagine stopping now. I still think I'm 30 years old. The only difference, Nathan Ho, who calls me the guy with the gray hair and the wisdom, said to me in a personal call, he goes, what's the biggest difference between 64 and 34? And I said, that's easy. Nothing's pretty much changed except for my few pain in the butt handicaps. I used to be one that could stay up till 3:30 in the morning working on a project, get up at 5 and go and do that 5-6 days in a row. If I did that today, I'd be in the emergency room with IVs. And I crash now at about 12:30 and I'm up at 5. So a little bit less energy.
I'll tell you what, Dr. Pick, that's a pretty good schedule there. I think 30-year-olds would have a problem keeping up with you at that schedule there. And guys, if you, we are on the Zoom platform because we had some technical difficulties, but it's okay. I told Dr. Pick, we're getting on. I don't care how we're going to do this. I'll use my cell phone if I have to. But so we're on here. If you have any questions, please fire them away. We just talked about the business retreat. It's something that I got inspired and I wanted to do in my own practice. And I'm actually going to pick his brain further about that. I love that. But the story behind it, it's even more extraordinary. And so I want to go to the next thing. You had something earlier. I'm going to ask you about that. And the purple cow. What's up with that? What does that mean? Can you hold that up real quick? Can you hold that up so everyone can see? What is that all about? You got the cow there. Let's get the cow with an appearance. You have the purple. You had it earlier. You have the purple cow anywhere?
You never know where time takes you. And there's one of these in the back seat of my car. I bring one now to every meeting. I blow it up before, and we give it away as a raffle. And the purple, you never know where time takes you. As 10 years ago, I was at a meeting speaking at Yankee, and at a private dinner, Linda Miles and Roger Levin said to me, "You're going to end up in management." And I said, "You guys are crazy." They go, "You're going to end up in management. You guys are nuts." They were right. 2 years ago on a live Facebook, I talked about an unbelievable book. Hang on 4 seconds.
So guys, we have Dr. Robert Pick with me, and wow, he just shared his story. So amazing. Guys, if you have any questions, type in the comments section. I'm checking back and forth. I know this is a little different from the Be Live platform, but we had to switch to Zoom. Type in the comments section if you have any questions at all. I wanted to bring Dr. Pick on here because he's a wealth of information. And so just fire those away and I'll read them to you. So Dr. Pick, I'll let you go ahead and finish that story there. There we go.
This is a book that everybody should buy tonight. It's called The Purple Cow. It's very small. It's by Seth Godin. I always have a sense of humor. You can finish this on the toilet. But this came out maybe 14 years ago, and I was doing a Facebook Live, and I said, you need to be the purple cow of what you do. And all Seth was talking about is if you're driving up in Wisconsin, it's very boring. It's very flat. Every farm has 8,000 black and white Holstein cows. They all look alike. Nobody stops to notice. However, if all of a sudden you saw a purple cow that was in great shape and standing there, you'd slam on your brakes, you'd take out your smartphone, you take video, you take pictures, and you send it to all your friends. Oh my God, there was a purple cow. So it's being remarkable in an amazing way to separate yourself from the competition. So I got branded Purple Cow. I've brought one to several summits I've spoken at, and they make it in all the pictures. Although at one, as I was blowing it up in the hotel room, the thing broke, and it was a very purple cow that needed some...
very deflated purple cow.
Yes, but with that, I ran with it and I turned it into what are called purple cow wows, doing things that makes you different from the competition. When I go to websites before we coach an office, I make sure I look at the websites, their competition. Everybody says the same thing. We went to the best schools. We got the best equipment. We got three-dimensional imaging. We do CEREC. We do Invisalign. We do implants. We do intraoral hemorrhoidectomies. And everybody says the same thing. What you need to figure out at the PBR, the PIC Business Team Building Retreat, is what do you do better and differently in a great way than everybody else? And if you figure that out, along with the why from Simon Sinek, you have a mission, a vision, a corporate culture. You've got to pretend you're an office, a building, a business, a Fortune 100 business. And when you develop that, you separate yourself from the competition. And I've talked about this before, and it's the things you do in the premier PBR. The second one, we make sure that you got the mission, vision, culture, the why, the SWOT. We'll get into that. But if you separate yourself, you know why you do what you do. And here's a big word. If you got a relationship with your patient, your patient will never say no. Nobody believes me, and there's times my office manager is with me just in case I don't hear something. She's also my lead consultant. Our case acceptance rate, dental peeps, is 100%. 100%. And that's no BS. Only time somebody does not go through treatment is financial hardship.
Yeah.
We can work around that. Let's start here and then do there. Here's another biggie. I mentioned that mentors were huge, and I was blessed by Pioneering Lasers. I met all these great people. One of the greatest things Pete Dawson taught me, maybe 85, took me under his wing, and Pete was like this. And he said, how are you meeting your new patients? And he goes, you're going to meet them in a preclinical interview room. And I'm like, what is a preclinical interview? To this day, that's how I meet every new patient. And two quick pearls here. I see so many dentists today when we help teams. The hygienist meets the patient. The hygienist takes x-rays. Hygienist does the probing. Hygienist sort of diagnosis. Grabs the dentist. Dentist runs in. Hey, I'm Dr. Drill and Phil. And you need a crown, 2 cavities, and you may need to be scaled, and let's get you scheduled. And that's it. The relationship is really not with the dentist, it's with the hygienist. And how can you make a relationship in that short time? What if the patient needs scaling? You just wasted a visit. So I meet every new patient. And when I'm in private practice, 2 of my most successful offices do the same thing. One of them was a Pete Dawson mentee. It's a small room in back. It could be another session. We could do it from there. It's got some of my diplomas and awards on the wall. It's got a book about us. It's got all kinds of cool stuff. Computer screen with my PowerPoint slides to educate. The assistant will bring the patient in after giving an office tour. Assistant will say to me, the patient is the patient's analytical. And that's knowing DISC, personality profile system, huge. And, somebody analytical, we're going to know it before we even see them. They're a computer analyst, and they have glasses on. They're very serious, and they have a notepad.
Engineer type?
Yeah, what?
Like an engineer type?
Oh, absolutely. Engineers, software engineers, computer analysts. Mr. Spock is the example I use when I lecture on this. And I'll come in, hi, hey, Glenn, I'm Bob Pick, and pleasure to meet you today. And, tell me why you're here. Rate your smile from 0 to 10. And if I know somebody is analytical, which I'll pick up on right away, I'm going to sort of change my tone like this. And Glenn, it's extremely important that today I'm going to give a lot of analytical data and information to you. Reading material, if you like. I like my I's dotted and my T's crossed. If I have, Dolly Parton sitting in the chair, and I'm going to be more like this, and oh my God, let's talk about what you did last night. You want to develop that relationship. You ask all of these questions. Rate your smile from 1 to 10. I don't know, it's a 7. Where would you like to take it to? 9. Okay, let's talk about how we do it. You can be in there 20 minutes. You can be in there an hour. The final question I ask is, before we bring you to a room, do you have any questions for me about my training, my team, or anything we're going to do today? They've also got a thing about us in the office before they walked in. Most people go online today. They'll look around the room and go, no. And I talked about this the other night. You know your why. You got an amazing team that greets people. You've got great reviews. From that preclinical interview, I haven't examined the patient yet. A lot of patients, I could say, let's get you scheduled, and they get scheduled. You've developed the relationship. You then do an awesome exam. You're doing it, not the hygienist, you and the assistant. You developed a treatment plan. You've taken time. Today, I brought a patient back for a second consult. I ran out of time. She needed all kinds of x-rays. She's very analytical. Brought her back for the second consult. I did it at no charge. We usually don't do that, but I felt it was the right thing to do. And she's a $47,000 case. And she said, let's roll. Do you want me to pay now or later? I sort of bit my
That's
lips.
like music to my ears right there.
And I never, there's another pearl. I never discuss fees with the patient. It's always done by my coordinators. If you discuss fees, peeps, you're the bad guy. Don't discuss fees. Patient goes, how much it costs? Great question. I don't even know the insurance code. I know how to do it. With your permission, when we're done, my coordinator, Annie's going to come in, go over insurance if you want, fees, scheduling. That's her job. So you develop the relationship. If you and your team know the why, you know DISC, your team is rocking, everything elevates to a level like you cannot imagine. You just
I love that. I love that. Dr. Pick, let me ask you this. Because, you know, I'm listening and I love what you're saying, because, you know, dentistry really is a relationship business, right? Relationship with your patients, relationship with your team members, relationship with your colleagues. I mean, that's what it really at the core of it. Everyone thinks, you know, teeth and gums, but it's a lot more than that, right? There's a lot more than that. But, you know, some people who are watching right now, they may say, well, Dr. Pick, what if I have a practice that's PPO heavy and I can't spend that much time because I have to make things work financially? What do you say for people who are in those type of practices?
Yep. I personally, because I get that asked all the time, most offices that we consult with are not, I happen to be fee for service, which is a decision I made a long time ago. Took a little bit longer to get rolling, but it was the right decision. But most offices we consult with have PPOs or insurance. Doesn't matter. Here's why. If you take that time, the patient may say yes to treatment that has nothing to do with insurance. What are you going to do if the patient needs 8 crowns, full mouth periodontal scaling and root planing, 3 veneers, a huge case? If you rely on insurance, which most people don't know this, it started as an experiment of the California Dental Association in 1976 with 1,000 and 2,000 plans. It hasn't changed. If you live by that restriction, you're stuck. You never know when a patient is going to say yes. If they say no, that's great. Go within those means. But you can maybe speed it up slightly. But you as the dentist need to develop the relationship. All you need is one patient like that.
Oh, yeah.
4 quads of scaling, 8 crowns and 2 veneers to say yes. Well, okay, I understand my insurance doesn't pay. I'll pay for it. You don't educate the patient, and education is huge. It's right there with relationship. You educate the patient. What's going on? Never judge the patient's pocketbook. I talk about that all the time. You don't know who's got the cash and who doesn't.
I'll tell you what, Dr. Pick, most of my big cases are from patients coming in with some boots on and there's dirt on their boots and they look like they've been at the ranch all day. But I'll tell you what, those are the guys that pay for huge treatments in cash because they own a huge ranch. I practice in North Texas, and I'm on the border of the city and the country. And I'll tell you what, that is so true. That is so true. And that's so true about the relationships there. So let me ask you this. So, we have a bunch of people watching right now. Guys, if you have any questions, type in the comments section. Nathan just typed purple cow. So he loves that there. So Dr. Pick, let me ask you this. So obviously you do consulting, but I'll tell you what, there you go, the purple cow. But I'll tell you what, just the short amount of time, I just got all these pearls just from talking to you for just this short amount of time. You had that inspirational story as well. But for those who want to see you speak, like, is your schedule posted anywhere, or how do they find out when you're speaking next?
Yeah, one of two ways. On my website, www.thepickgroup.com. That's often updated and on there. Or it depends. We're just redoing some of that website, which is what I shouldn't want to say, but it is what it is. You can always PM me. I'm always there. I'm up to 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning working. Just send me a PM. But go to the website and it should list all of the commitments. I never, and by the way, Dr. Vo, call me Bob. And I never thought I would end up in management. As you know, Linda Miles and Roger Levin predicted it. I sort of wound off the lecture circuit a little bit after I got sick to the 2000s, but this year is the busiest year on the lecture circuit since 1994. Wow. And where I had 104 commitments in 1 year. And you worked, you went to the airport, went somewhere, changed time zones, lectured, went back to the airport, went back and cranked. I love it though. I love helping people, motivating. I never want them to make the mistakes I made. I want them to get there with jet afterburners. It's huge.
I love it. And I saw a post not too long ago in one of the groups, and I'm sure it's something that you've seen over and over. You've seen people complain about, and that is the team members of today are so different from the team members from yesterday, right? Their heads are somewhere else. They have a different mentality. They're interested in taking pictures and doing Facebook Lives. They're more interested in just traveling, seeing the world, and not just being responsible or having that work ethic. So I'm sorry, I almost called you Dr. Piggy. So Bob, for those people who ask that, who say, look, the team members today, it's just different. What do you say to them? And what is your solution, or what is your advice to kind of motivate this different type of team members now?
Wow. That's a great, we're going to be on till 4 a.m. But I'm going to give the condensed version. Team is huge. It's no different than the relationship, education. If you don't got the right team members, peeps, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest mistakes that I see all the time, I just had this discussion with Heidi Mount the other day, is dentists settling and taking the wrong team members from the start. I'm dealing with a dentist right now who literally said, well, half my team in the back is shitty. I can't wait to get rid of them. The other half are okay. And slowly but surely I'll maybe do it. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you tolerate that?
Yeah.
And as a quick aside, when I met Jack Welch a long time ago, he had a policy. He'd walk into an executive's office. He'd walk into a factory line. If you did not know the mission or he'd say, what's the second line in our vision? And if you didn't know it, depending on your position, you were either fired, you were fined, or fined and released for 2 weeks. That's how important it was to him. Wow. And my team knows the same thing. We have a mission, vision, culture. There's a bold in each one, and they know it dead cold. This happens to be the one for my practice. And, at every morning huddle, for fun, I'll go around and go, Annie, what's the first bold in our vision? Gosha, what's the bold in our culture? Your team's got to know it. But don't settle. And this is where DISC comes in. It's huge. It's going to be an entire chapter in my upcoming book. Anissa Holmes has a great chapter on it in her book. It's huge. It was taught to me a long time ago. Really quick. DISC, D-I-S-C. D stands for driver personality. My way or the highway. You know, Simon on America's Got Talent. You stink, get out of here. I don't talk politics, but it's fun. Donald Trump, you know, huge, goodbye. My way or the highway. You know, I got Donald Trump in the chair. All right, let's maximize time. We're going to get it done. Goodbye. My coordinator's going to be in here. Driver personality. Boom. And then there's expressive, you know, talking and that sort of stuff. And Jim Carrey comes to mind, and Dolly Parton, and, you know, their expressive personalities. They're talking, their hands are moving. Oh my God, what was I just talking about? Wait a minute, I can't find this. My desk is a mess. They're expressive. Then you have amiable, and you can see my face. I'm sort of looking down. And the greatest example I use for amiable, I don't care what religion you are, the Pope, he is the sweetest, nicest man on the planet. He talks soft. You may take a little time, and they listen. They're your best friend. And you can tell how soft I got. And then there's Mr. Spock, the computer software engineers that are analytical. And I want to get a notepad and a pen and write down everything you're going to say. If you know that, when we, and again, PM me, people. I write an article monthly for Dentist Money Digest and Dentistry Today. I wrote an article on DISC and also how you interview. We give everybody that we interview a small DISC test that takes about 5 minutes. Gives you a pretty good idea what they are. When I call offices, you can't believe what I hear on the phone. Hi, Dr. Bo's office. How may I help you? I'm like, whoa, you know, you want it to be, hi, this is Karen. Thank you for calling Dr. Vo's office. You know, we're so excited you called, and, you know, when's the last time you went to the bathroom? You want somebody expressive on that phone that wants to get to know you. You don't want somebody analytical that should maybe be your insurance coordinator. And you want your assistants to be either what are called IS or SI. Mm-hmm. There's a primary and a secondary. You want them expressive, but you want them soft. You want them to talk to the patient. Hygienists should be the same way. And something that is huge is, again, something I published on called the HQ, Hospitality Quotient. Mm-hmm. Danny Meyer in the restaurant industry figured this out. I want all my team members to have 49% skill and 51% hospitality quotient. And I personally, if I got the right personality, I'll train them. But the hospitality quotient is a natural curiosity about your patient, wanting to know about them.
Hospitality quotient.
You got it. And I want every patient to say, wow, he broke my sinus and lifted it and put an implant in a bone graft, but it was the best medical dental experience ever. I can't believe I got a phone call that night, and the next day they sent me a video checking. The video check is one of the biggest purple cow wows you can ever do. And so if you take the time and get the right team, don't settle. And word of mouth, if great people know great people, all you got to do is ask. Yeah. And it's that simple, but you've got to know DISC. Don't settle. You've got to have the right team. It's huge. Huge.
I love that. That's such great advice. You know, going through life, we don't settle with a lot of things, right? We don't settle with the people we end up with. We don't settle where we live. We don't settle where we send our kids. And why not? Why do we settle when it comes to your team? Something so important. You spend more time with these team members than your own family sometimes.
That's right.
So Dr. Pick, we got a bunch of questions here. I've been listening here, and I looked over like, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of questions. So let me throw some questions out. You ready for some questions here?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's start with this first one.
And
first question is,
Purple Cow's ready.
First question is, my biggest issues to how to direct staff without them taking it personally. I've tried everything.
Oh, wow.
Bob, what do you think?
Two things. One, from here on out, they are not staff. They are team. Staff is an infection. I hate that word. Hate that word. They are team, team, team. Very important. successful sports teams. You know, here in Chicago, we had the Michael Jordan run.
Yeah.
It was a team. And Michael has a great quote. Great players win games, but great teams win championships. If you have to admonish a team member, which it sounds like what the question is, first off, is it the right team member? Because if you continually have to admonish, got the wrong person. But if something went wrong, you know, depending what it is, I don't know the problem, you wait till the end of the day, because you don't want to do it in the morning and have problems throughout the day. You grab your office manager, so someone else is with you, and you bring the person in, and you know, and leadership and other things are things we're not taught in dental school.
Mm-hmm.
We're taught how to look for loose enamel rods, how to, you know, pack cord, how to prep teeth. We're not taught these business skills. And I always state, you'll see where I'm going with this, you've got to wear your clinical hat first. You always must do what's ethically right for the patient. But in today's world, your CEO hat has to be on almost at the exact same time to be successful. You're running a dental business, not practice. You bring the person in at the end of the day, right before the end of the day, I need you for 2 seconds. I want to talk to you about whatever occurred. You know, you were too curt on the phone. You've got to take the time with that patient. I don't believe in writing people up. Let's talk about how can we make this better? What can I do to help you? What can you do to help me? Let's maybe do some scripting. Let's grab my smartphone, record it, see how it sounds, play it back, and let's make this better. Let's make this an awesome experience for everybody. You take the high road. Now, if the problem keeps occurring, you got the wrong person, hands down. And at that point, it's not worth hanging on to them.
Yeah.
And we talked about this early on. When I coach other offices, I just see so many people hang on to bad people and I go, why are you hanging on to that person? You know, it's the first thing you told me is, oh God, this person is going to be at the Pick Business Team Building Retreat and they're going to be a little bit off center and blah, blah, blah. But I just don't have the heart to fire her.
Yeah.
2 of my team members don't want to work with her. Boom. That's it. It's not worth it. So
and Bob, I want to tell you a story here because I'm glad that Doctor put that question on. We're going to go, we have some more questions, but I want to bring something up. I have a pretty strong team, you know, and we've been kind of changing. We always change, right? We always get better. That's one of the things that we want to get better every day, right? And as we change, sometimes team members don't change, right? They don't adapt. And what I've learned is sometimes there's nothing wrong with them. They're not bad people. But what happens is that the practice goes in one direction and they either want to go in a different direction or they want to stay where they're at. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what happens is people will end up, after so much time, they'll weed themselves out. They'll find out, now it's time for a change. And that happened to my practice recently. And that's the one thing I've learned that, sometimes when a team want to leave or we got to get rid of them, we associate this something very negative. Like, oh, this guy bad, brother, get out of here, But sometimes good people, they just have to split apart because it's not working anymore. And there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you. It just doesn't work anymore.
That's very, very true. And if it's handled correctly, that person can still be a friend, somebody that you still see. Businesses change direction. And when that direction changes, it isn't for everybody. Period.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so we got some more questions. Let me get through them there before they feel like they get neglected. Hold on. Okay. All right, next question is just taking out, putting the issues in the team's hand. Okay, so morning huddles sets the tone. We want to jumpstart the day on a positive note. How do we discuss issues from the previous day without getting the team down?
Great question. 2 answers to that. 1, I'm glad you brought it up because I 147% agree. Morning huddle is huge. And I see so many offices don't do huddle.
Yeah.
And by the way, dental peeps, it's called morning huddle for a reason. You don't do it at night. As I teased, I debated where I was going to do this from to put the pick group backdrop, but I did this because I'm also a practicing dentist.
Yeah.
And when I got into consulting and coaching, I thought it was important that I know what it's like to prep a tooth and then things go wrong. I know what it's like when you're behind and you pack the cord and the blood comes out and the patient's cheek is in the way. Unless you do that, you can't understand it. In that morning huddle, if there were problems the day before, be careful how you bring it up because you can set a bad tone. That problem should have been handled the day before.
Mm.
At that morning huddle, which is done in the morning, there's an office we coach. We just finally made them do it in the morning. And the resistance I got was, well, a couple of my team members they don't want to be here. Who's the boss? And simply set the tone. This is when morning huddle starts, boom. And you got to have a morning huddle sheet with production collection versus last year versus this year. So you can see where you're at, how many referrals, production collection for each team member. And that subliminally puts it in your head. Morning huddle should be awesome. It should be fun. It should be organized. Problems from the day before should be handled the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And because you don't want to embarrass somebody.
Right.
You could, if it's a team thing, you could say, by the way, I don't want to belabor here, but don't forget the phone's got to, be on service at 4:27 instead of 4:26. Let's get it done. We rock. And because you got to set the tone. Morning huddle should have an awesome tone. Handle the problems the day before. And if problems persist, wait till the monthly meeting. And or are you doing the biannual PBR, the team building retreat? This is where you bring things up, where you look at what's called the business SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats, to move forward. So make the morning huddle awesome. The last thing you should do in a morning huddle is, and you want to have fun, because and by the way, there's another team we coach doesn't want to show the people numbers. If you're not showing your numbers to your team peeps, you got to show them. If people they want you to be successful. People know what Jeff Bezos makes. You want to be associated with successful people.
Yeah.
If your team knows you're slightly behind in goal, and you do, you're going to take the extra 2 minutes that day to spend time with a patient you can't stand that needs a restoration. Mrs. Jones, we really need to get this done. With your permission. There's a great line. With your permission. Before you go, Diana's going to get you scheduled so that doesn't break. The last thing you do in a morning huddle, and I practice Monday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday morning, towards the end, we do a raffle. All right, I got numbers between 1 and 10. Whoever gets it opens it up. It's a fun motivational sheet with a gift card from Amazon, and it's a $25 gift card. If we're above goal, 15 if we're below goal. Knock on wood, they've been 25 all year. But the last thing you do, I'll say to my team members, all right, Annie, you got the 3, 2, 1. Gosha, you got the first yo. Claudia, you got the second yo. And Vanessa, you got it. We'll all get up. Everybody's hands go in. And, Vanessa goes, Gosha goes 3, 2, 1. Annie goes, yo, yo, yo. And Vanessa will go, let's have a masterpiece Monday. Everybody's hands go in. We give everybody a high five. And we come out smoking.
I love it. I love it. And that is so important, Dr. Fink. I mean, that's so important because, we want to, Dennis, something happens the next day. Oh, someone lost my, I don't know, implant handpiece or something, right? Someone actually tossed it in the trash or something. We want to go into that morning and just get someone's head cut off, right? And what happens is everyone is like, oh my gosh, Dr. Vo is in a bad mood today. Or let's say someone comes in and they're just in a bad mood. It sets a bad tone. I love the fact that you say, handle those things the previous day, all right? Or don't even handle it because the morning huddle is a time to get hyped up. It's a huddle, right? You don't break huddle. You don't see people breaking huddle with their heads down. They break huddle. The quarterback is hyped up. He's ready to go. And so I love that. And Dr. Pick, I'm going to put you. So normally we do like a Nifty Thrifty deal, but I want to do something different today. I'm going to put you on the spot. I don't want to put people on the spot by saying, what can you do with a Nifty Thrifty deal? But I'm going to do something different today because number one, so many people are watching us right now. There's a bunch of questions there. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great to hear Dr. Pick speak. And then when he gets off stage, wouldn't it be great if he was at an event where you can mug the guy, he can't escape, and you can ask him all the questions you want? How great would that be? So guys, if that sounds appealing to you, type in the comment section, pick group. Type in the comment section, pick group. And because I'm about to put him on the spot here. Bob, I think you need to speak at our event. I think you need to speak at our event. And you seem like a type of guy that enjoys Las Vegas. You seem like the type of guy that likes Vegas there. So what do you think? I'm going to put you on the spot. You're going to have to answer me right now in front of everybody that's watching right now.
Absolutely.
There you go. So guys, type in the comments section, pick group, and I'm going to show him that he needs to show up to that. And there you go. I mean, look, even though we actually went through a whole hour here, I can't believe it. It felt like I've been talking to you only 15 minutes. But you know what? I want to get Dr. Pick at our event to speak. Well, and number one, to speak, but also, you know what? Look at how many pros you guys just picked up just right now. Imagine if he's at an event with you and he can't escape. We'll lock the doors and we'll let him go back to. He said it himself. He doesn't go to bed till midnight. Okay, but we would love to have you out there in June. But Dr. Pick, thank you so much to jump on. Before we jump off here, I know we had a little technical difficulty, but I'll tell you what, we ended strong here. And I, for the dentists that are listening right now, for the practice owners who's grinding away, living their dream, trying to either living their dream or trying to build their dream, what do you say to them? What's your little piece of advice to them?
Wow, it's a great answer. I'm going to answer that three ways.
Okay.
One, I would be honored and flattered to speak. I would have absolutely no problem. Whoever wants, we go to a room for 2 hours, 3 hours. Whoever wants to come in, we close the door. I'll answer all your questions. Also, what I had planned to do is we have a thing where we spend 4 half-hour Zoom coaching calls, a personal call. We normally charge, I think it's $1,100 for it. If you email me, drpick@thepickgroup.com, simply put Glenn on the thing, we will give you a 50% discount through the end of the year.
Woo, over-delivered that. I wasn't even expecting that.
So we'll give you 4 half-hour calls for 50% off. But I would be more than honored to speak. I love it. It's my passion. And as I say all the time, I never want anybody to make the mistakes I made, and I made them. Trust me. I want everybody to get there faster than they ever thought possible. But don't forget, you got to do great dentistry. But you got to be the CEO of your business. You have to pretend you're a Fortune 100 company. You got to do those PBRs. You got to have a mission, a vision, a culture. You got to live it and get excited. You come through that door, I don't care how bad of a day you had. You got in an argument with your significant other. Your kid did something goofy. You walk in that door and it is showtime. And it would be no different if you went to see, whether it's the Rolling Stones, whether it's Miley Cyrus. When they're on stage, it's an organized team event. The guitarists don't make mistakes. The backup people don't make mistakes. It's an organized event. What would you think of Mick Jagger if all of a sudden he's like, oh shit, I forgot the words. Or Charlie Watts just stopped drumming. Oh shit, I forgot. It's an organized event. Doesn't matter how bad of a day they had. When they get on that stage, it's showtime, period. And every one of my team members will tell you that. At showtime, we teach that to every office we coach. So pretend you're a CEO of a Fortune 100 company. That's the pearl. That's where it starts, period. And go with those principles. As an example, treat your team well. Yeah. Every one of my team members gets Success Magazine every month. They can't wait to get it. My office manager, Diana, brought this one in today at Morning Huddle and was so excited about an article in here. She forgot it on my desk. That's how much my team means to me. They all get this every month. I pay for the subscription every year. I want them to be successful. I want them to rock and roll. And it doesn't matter if it's my team in the office or my team in the consulting group, period.
I love it. And you know what? There's nothing else left to say right there. That is amazing. I'll put in the comment section later the impromptu Nifty deal. That's amazing there. But guys, type in the comment section, pick group, if you'd like to see Dr. Pick speak at the event. And you know what? He just said it himself. You know, anyone has some questions, he's just going to round everyone up and just have at it for a couple of hours, just brainstorm together. And I love that. That's the thing. That's the thing that I love about, you know, doctors like Dr. Pick here. You know, they have an abundance mindset, willing to help each other out. And that's what it is. That's something that I really feel that we need more of in dentistry. Just people come together and helping people, right? Sharing things. You know, there's plenty to go around. We all want to do it's dentistry is tough enough. It is tough enough of a job to have your colleagues against you. And so, Bob, thank you so much for jumping on. Feel truly blessed to have you on here and can't wait to meet you in person. I might have to meet you way before then, but thank you so much for jumping on.
You're welcome. I want to finish with one thing.
Yeah.
You hit something big. I talked about this Tuesday night when I was speaking at the group. We in dentistry have a physically demanding job and a mentally demanding job. We work in a thing the size of a baseball. And if we're off by a half a millimeter, that patient will go, God, my bite's off.
Yeah.
My general surgery colleagues at Northwestern, you know, the anesthesiologist puts a patient to sleep. Let's say they're doing a gallbladder. You know, the resident opens it up. The surgeon walks in, takes it out, tells the resident, you close. Nobody comes back to the surgeon and go, my scar is off by half a millimeter. Do you think you can do a scar adjustment? Only in dentistry. We deal with things that unless you've been in dental school, you can't relate to it. I come home and there's times I want to tell my Carmen, please don't talk to me for an hour. I just want to vegetate out. It's a very stressful job. I call it a four-wall profession. Don't get stuck in your four walls. One of the greatest things that Facebook has done is what we're doing right now. It allows us to go face to face, interact with other colleagues. It's huge. What you're doing, Glenn, all of this stuff is huge. It's important. Don't ever stop.
I love it. Thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate that coming from you, and that's what makes me so excited. I'm so excited about this event that's coming up. We're gonna have Bob there. He's gonna be there, dropping some pearls. Maybe throw out a purple cow into the crowd. Hopefully, the purple cow won't deflate like the other one there. But type in the comments section, pick group if you want them to speak at the event and mastermind with us. So, Bob, thank you so much for jumping on. And guys, thank you for being patient with us. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks, Glenn.